that's this keep America safe again kind of mindset.
No, it's France.
I understand, but I'm just saying that if we think that could have been in America, that could have been here on the Mall on the 4th of July, and maybe somebody's shot down, shot out, but he drives over a bunch of people in the meantime, it was another horrendous reminder of our vulnerability to not just organized terror, but to the lone wolf, crazy person willing to die for whatever the cause.
And that's the most dangerous person of all, in the sense that if someone is willing to go into a crowd and blow everybody up, there's no way you can, unless he is talking to friends, there's no way you'll ever know that it's happening until it happens. And it seems to me that all too often, that's exactly the kind of person that we're dealing with. Someone who is disaffected, unhappy. It's always a he. He has decided that his solution to his unhappiness is to
kill people.
Actually,
in as large a number as he can, as he takes his own life.
Actually, what you're mentioning, there was a partially tongue-in-cheek piece written that said if you really want to profile mass shooters or people who do these harms, it's almost always men. Maybe we should just be profiling men. But Al Swift, with your last comment on Nice.
It is clear that this is not a U.S. problem, and we tend to think it's a U.S. problem. The solution, I have no idea what it is, but it's going to have to be an international solution of some sort. And it may be that a lot of the political problems that exist between various nations that are dealing with this need to sit down and say, for this reason we've got to agree on things and then go after ISIS in a very concerted way. Russia will have to be involved. Arabia will have to be involved.
Everybody.
You got to have it all. I can't think of how you're going to piecemeal it. I don't think each nation can handle its own internal problems alone. And you got to get some change of attitude, by which I mean what gets lauded. You know, these people are heroes to somebody. And we need to get to those people who value this and change their minds or scare them out of it.
Alan Moore.
Yeah, it's some of the stuff is organized, and we spend tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions, trying to mete out what's going on the internet and who's organizing what. And some of it is lone wolf killers, and we're talking about the guy in Nice who nobody seemed to know anything about. He didn't have any kind of a history with the local officials. But the cop killer in Dallas, and then the cop killer in Baton Rouge just a couple of days ago, these were American guys. They were African Americans
who were
former military, trained. They could legally get weapons, and they were targeting police. The race of the policeman didn't matter. This was black on blue crime, and it's the anger is fed by lots of things, not least of all the internet, the social media, the anger and ugliness that just is pervasive all over the internet. It's not just the Islamic State that's encouraging people to kill, but there's plenty of other ugly, provocative, crazy stuff out there, and we haven't figured out, and I don't have any answers, how to live in this modern world of social media where if you're angry about something and you go looking, you'll find all sorts of crazy ideas and encouragement for how to act and what to do. And there are people who advocate killing police. They're our enemy, go kill them. And you only need one or two here and there, and to make us all worry, and to make police everywhere. Like after Dallas, Washington, D.C. started changing its rules on patrol cars, 2 police in every car, until which is very expensive, and limiting in overall coverage, just to protect our guys, because we don't know what's going on out there.
Yeah.
I'll Swift.
This is not a total solution, but I think police training needs to be really re-examined, and in a very broad sense, and without pointing fingers and saying you did it wrong. I think there's something inherent in police training that suggests being tough, being has gotten out of hand. Too many people have been killed by police while the police were doing what we assume police should do, but they have done more than they should do. The guy that was choked to death by 5 or 6 police that grabbed him
in New York City.
In New York City. I think they were probably reacting to training that needs to be re-examined, rethought, retaught, at least in this country, so that because they have a tough job. So I'm not criticizing the police, and I certainly don't support people who think the solution is to kill them. Jesus, no. But are they trained to be overly tough, overly active in ways that really redound against them? I think that exists there somewhere, and we need to sit down and figure out how that is and change that.
Bob Hines, the last word.
I agree with what Al just said. I think we have to re-evaluate how we train people who are going to be protecting us, how we train them, I cannot imagine the pressure on someone who is responsible for being protective of some area, and he sees a problem and he wants to jump into it, and maybe he overreacts. It's such a hard world.
Well, I think
it's so difficult.
We're running long, so we're
running out of time. Let Alan go.
I just want to remind us that it's not like this notion of training is a new idea. That everybody's talking about it. Many cities have poured enormous resources into that very subject, not least of all New York City, and not least of all Dallas, which was the target and had.
And everyone said Dallas did a great job.
Has done a great job with community policing and retraining and sensitizing, and they're still targets. So that doesn't mean we're doing all the training we need, but we're doing an enormous amount. But it only takes one crazed person who's armed and willing to die, and we have another disaster.
Yeah. That's true, and it also suggests that once you start the retraining, it doesn't mean that everything stops right then.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while for that training over time to be effective.
And with that said, that is the last word. And I'm sad to say that this is the end of our show, so we will not make it to Tell Me a Story.
Oh, dear.
No.
Let's all...
I wanted to trash the government for Zika failure.
But on behalf of Al Swift, Bob Hines, Alan Moore, I am Dan Lipner, your guest co-host on Backroom Politics, live every week, 4 to 6 p.m. on Tuesdays. Justin, we miss you. He is live on Sidewire at the Republican National Convention.
And we've screwed you on your pet part of the program.
But we are here every week at Shelley's Back Room, Bob?
The place to be.
We'll see you next week.